I don't think it's ever the big moments that break a person. It's always the small, quiet ones that no one sees coming. The ones that catch you off guard when you least expect them. That's how I ended up here, writing this out, trying to make sense of what's happened. It all started with something as simple as a dare. I was minding my own business when it happened. It's funny how, when you think life is just moving along perfectly fine, something small will come along and completely flip everything upside down. You think you know a person. You think you know your relationship. But all it takes is one unexpected nudge, and suddenly, you're no longer sure of anything. It started with the evening texts, the kind that seemed so insignificant at first, yet somehow set everything in motion. She'd been texting me all day, her messages light and playful, just the usual "how's your day?" and "miss you." Nothing strange, nothing out of the ordinary. I should have known, but I didn't. That's the thing about hindsight. It's always too perfect, too clear. I got the text around 6:30 p.m. while I was finishing up at work. "Come meet me at the cafe," she wrote. It wasn't anything special, just like every other day. I'd meet her there, we'd talk, I'd go home. That's what we did. Except when I got to the cafe, things weren't as they should have been. I noticed her before she saw me, sitting at a table in the corner, but there was something off about her. The way she sat, tense, like she was waiting for something to happen. Her hands were shaking just slightly, and her eyes kept darting around the room, not making eye contact with anyone for too long. The moment I walked in, she stiffened and quickly put her phone down. "Hey," I said, trying to smile. She looked up at me, and I noticed how her eyes didn't really light up like they used to. "Hey," she replied, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. It wasn't like her. I could feel the distance, but I didn't know how to address it, so I pushed it aside. It wasn't a big deal, right? Just a bad day, maybe. Everyone has them. We sat down, ordered our drinks, and I tried to make conversation. I don't know why, but there was something about the air around us that felt off. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a disagreement. It was just nothing. Nothing to grasp onto. She was distant, and I couldn't figure out why. Then her phone buzzed. It was one of her friends, I assumed, so she picked it up without hesitation. I tried not to watch, but I couldn't help myself. I saw her smile faintly at whatever the message said, and then she looked at me for a moment before typing back. "What's going on?" I asked. "You seem distracted." She didn't answer right away, like she was deciding whether or not to say something. Finally, she put the phone down and sighed. "It's nothing," she said quickly. "Just some stuff with my friends. They want me to do something tonight, and I'm not sure about it." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of stuff?" "I don't know. It's stupid," she replied, waving it off, but I could tell she was holding something back. It didn't sit right with me, but I let it go. Maybe she was just stressed. I wasn't one to push. The conversation shifted, but there was still that tension, the weight in the air between us. After a while, she checked the time, and I knew what was coming next. She had plans. "I need to go," she said, standing up abruptly. "I'll see you at home later." It wasn't like her to rush off so suddenly. I stood up too, confused, not really knowing what to say. "Okay, I'll see you." But before she turned to leave, she paused, glancing over her shoulder with a strange expression. It was almost as if she was about to say something, but stopped herself at the last second. Then she just gave me a quick smile. "Love you," she said, before walking out. I watched her go, feeling like there was something in that glance that I didn't understand, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. And that's when I got the text. It was from her friend, Claire. "Claire, she's gonna do it, you know. She's been dared." I stared at the phone in disbelief. "Me, what's going on?" "Claire, don't worry. She's fine. But she'll need you later, trust me." I didn't know what that meant, but it sent a cold shiver down my spine. I couldn't shake off Claire's message. It kept ringing in my head. She's gonna do it, you know. She's been dared. What the hell did that mean? I tried calling Amelia, but she didn't pick up. I sent her a text asking if everything was okay, but again, no response. The more I tried to convince myself it was nothing, the more the knot in my stomach tightened. I went home, trying to push the thoughts to the back of my mind. But they wouldn't leave. I kept picturing her, walking out of the cafe so quickly, the strange look in her eyes. What was going on? It was well past midnight when Amelia finally came home. I had tried to distract myself, but every time I heard a car in the driveway, my heart would race, thinking it was her. But it wasn't until around 1 a.m. that I heard her car pull in. I stood up from the couch, trying to act normal, but inside, I was a mess. What could she possibly be hiding? Why didn't she tell me whatever this dare was? She opened the door, and the moment I saw her face, I knew something was wrong. Her eyes were slightly red, her hair a little disheveled, as if she had been running her hands through it nervously. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Where have you been?" She didn't meet my gaze. "Out with the girls," she said quickly, brushing past me to the kitchen. "I'm just going to grab a drink." I followed her into the kitchen, my mind racing. "Amelia, what happened tonight? What's going on with this dare?" She froze for a moment, her back to me, and then slowly turned around. Her face was pale. "It's nothing. Just a stupid thing my friends decided. I didn't want to tell you about it because I knew you'd overreact." "What dare?" I asked, my voice sharp now, as frustration built up inside me. "You know you can tell me anything, right? You don't need to hide things from me." She sighed, clearly trying to avoid my gaze. "It's really not a big deal. We were at the bar, and they dared me to push someone. Just for fun. You know how they are." I stood there, staring at her. "Push someone? What do you mean, push someone?" She hesitated. I had to do it. It was part of the stupid game. They thought it'd be funny." I could feel my heart pounding now. "So you push someone? For fun? What kind of joke is that?" She looked at me, her eyes full of guilt, but there was something else there too. Something that didn't sit right. "It wasn't like that. It was just a joke. Nothing serious." "Who did you push, Amelia?" I asked, my voice quieter now, but with an edge that made her flinch. She looked away. "It doesn't matter." "It does matter," I replied. "You went out with your friends, and now you're acting like this? What happened, Amelia?" She exhaled deeply, running a hand through her hair. "It was stupid, okay? I didn't want to do it, but I did. And now I feel terrible. Can we just forget about it?" But I couldn't forget. Something about the way she was acting, her refusal to tell me the full story, made my skin crawl. It was as if she was hiding something, and I had no idea what it was. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about a stupid dare. There was something bigger at play here. Something I wasn't seeing. "I can't just forget about this," I said, my frustration growing. "You need to tell me exactly what happened." Amelia was silent for a moment, and when she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to push him. I didn't want to do any of this. But when I did, when I pushed him, something happened. He didn't take it well." "What do you mean?" I asked, feeling my stomach drop. She looked at me, her face pale. He pushed back." I blinked, not understanding. "What do you mean, he pushed back?" Amelia looked at me, her eyes wide. He came after me." My mind spun. What the hell was she talking about? What had happened after she pushed this person? Why didn't she tell me this earlier? "Amelia, what happened?" I pressed again, but she just shook her head. I don't want to talk about it. Please, just let it go." But I couldn't let it go. There was something I was missing, something important, and I could feel it just beyond my reach. Amelia wasn't being honest with me, and that was the part that hurt the most. Before I could ask more, she grabbed her bag and headed toward the door. "I'm going to bed. We'll talk tomorrow, okay?" I watched her leave the room, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The next day felt off from the moment I woke up. Amelia was still asleep when I got up, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking beneath the surface. The conversation from the night before kept replaying in my head. She had barely said anything about what happened, and I couldn't stop wondering why she was so vague. She had pushed someone, and now they'd pushed back. But what did that even mean? I decided to go about my day, hoping I could clear my head. But the more I tried to focus, the more the feeling of unease gnawed at me. Amelia wasn't answering my texts, and I hadn't heard a word from her all morning. I tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. Around 3 p.m., I got a message, but it wasn't from Amelia. It was from Claire, the friend who had texted me the night before. "Claire, Victor, please don't be mad. I didn't want to get involved, but I think you need to know something. You have to talk to Amelia. She's been hiding things from you. And it's not just a dare anymore. She's in trouble." My heart stopped. I stared at the message, trying to process what Claire had said. In trouble? What was that supposed to mean? I immediately called her. When she picked up, her voice was shaky. "Victor, please. I shouldn't have said anything, but you need to know. It's not just a stupid game anymore. Amelia, she's been mixed up in something. It started with that stupid dare, but now." "Mixed up in what?" I interrupted, my voice rising in panic. What are you talking about, Claire? There was a long pause on the other end. You need to talk to Amelia. She's too scared to tell you everything, but it's worse than you think. She's involved with someone she shouldn't be. My mind raced. What do you mean? Who is she involved with? Look, I'm not the one to spill all the details. But if you really care about her, you need to find out yourself. She's been lying to you, and she's in deep. The call ended abruptly. I sat there, frozen, my hands shaking. What the hell was going on? Why hadn't Amelia said anything? Who was she involved with? I had no choice now. I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure I was ready for what I might hear. I didn't wait long to confront Amelia. The moment I heard her car pull into the driveway, my heart started pounding. I stood in the living room, trying to collect my thoughts, but nothing made sense. Claire's warning, the cryptic messages, Amelia's strange behavior. It was all leading to something. I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew it was bad. The door opened, and Amelia walked in, her face tight and guarded. She didn't even look at me at first. She just slipped her shoes off and walked straight toward the kitchen. I followed her, my feet heavy. Amelia, I said, my voice firm. We need to talk. She froze for a second, then turned to face me, her eyes wide. What's going on, Victor? She asked, a hint of defensiveness in her tone. Why are you acting like this? Stop pretending everything's fine, I shot back. What's going on? Why didn't you tell me about what happened last night? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Her face paled, and she looked away for a moment, clearly struggling to find the right words. I could tell she was trying to keep calm, but I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands clenched at her sides. I told you everything, she finally said, though her voice didn't match her words. It was just a stupid dare. I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't think it would be a big deal. Then why did Claire text me? I demanded, taking a step closer. She said you're in trouble. She said you're hiding something. Amelia's eyes darted around the room, as if she were looking for an escape. She swallowed hard. Victor, please, she whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't want you to get involved. I didn't want you to worry. I stepped forward again, now only a few feet away from her. Worry about what, Amelia? What aren't you telling me? Who are you involved with? She closed her eyes, her breathing heavy. When she finally spoke, her words were barely audible. It's not what you think. It's not that simple. I made a mistake, okay? I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I waited, but she didn't continue. Amelia, I'm not going to stand here guessing, I said, my voice now calmer but with an edge to it. What mistake? What's going on? She hesitated, then took a deep breath. After the dare, the guy, he wouldn't leave me alone. He started following me, showing up at places I didn't expect. I told him to stay away, but he didn't listen. I interrupted her. Who is he? Why didn't you tell me this sooner? She looked at me with panic in her eyes, as if I were the one to blame for what had happened. I couldn't, Victor. I didn't want you to get involved. I didn't want you to know how bad it was getting. I felt the anger building inside me, but I held it back. How bad is it getting, Amelia? What did you get yourself into? She didn't answer right away. Her silence was deafening. Then, almost in a whisper, she said, he's dangerous. I think he's obsessed with me. And now he's threatening to hurt the people I care about if I don't. If I don't do what he says. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. What do you mean, do what he says? What does he want from you? Amelia shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I don't know. I've tried everything to make him stop, but he keeps showing up. He told me I have to meet him tonight, or he'll hurt someone close to me. I took a step back, my mind racing. What the hell, Amelia? Why didn't you tell me this sooner? I didn't want you to get hurt, she cried. I didn't want you involved in this, but I don't know what else to do. I stood there, processing everything she had just told me. I wanted to scream, to yell at her for hiding this, for putting me in the dark. But I also knew she was scared, and scared people did irrational things. I wasn't sure what to do, but I couldn't just stand by and let her face this alone. I grabbed her by the shoulders, looking into her eyes. We're going to fix this. I'm not letting you deal with this by yourself. We'll go together, and we'll make sure he knows he can't threaten you like this. She shook her head frantically, her voice trembling. No, Victor, please don't. I can't risk you getting hurt. You don't know what he's capable of. But I wasn't listening anymore. Whatever this guy was, whoever he was, I wasn't going to let him intimidate Amelia, or me, any longer. We're doing this together, I said firmly, though my own nerves were starting to catch up with me. Tell me where he is. The silence in the room was suffocating. Amelia's eyes were wide, her face pale as she tried to avoid my gaze. I could feel the fear radiating off of her. This wasn't just a simple threat, it was something much darker. We can't do this alone, Amelia, I said, my voice low but steady. I'm not leaving you to deal with this by yourself. Tell me where he is. She looked like she was about to argue, but then she stopped, biting her lip. She took a step back, her hands trembling as she reached for her phone. She typed something quickly and handed it to me without a word. I looked at the screen. It was an address. Is this where he wants you to meet him? I asked, my voice tightening. Amelia nodded but didn't say anything. She looked like she wanted to say more, but the words wouldn't come. I stared at the address for a moment, my mind racing. It was in a rundown part of town, far away from anything familiar. My gut twisted at the thought of her meeting this man alone, in a place like that. Are you sure you want to do this? I asked, trying to make sense of it all. This doesn't feel right. We can go to the police. No. She cut me off, her voice a little too sharp. I can't. You don't understand. If I go to the police, it'll only make things worse. He'll find a way to hurt someone. I can't risk it. The desperation in her voice hit me like a punch. This wasn't some silly misunderstanding. She was terrified. I didn't say anything for a long moment. Finally, I nodded. All right, we're going together. If he tries anything, we'll deal with it. Amelia's face softened, a mix of relief and fear in her eyes. She reached out, touching my arm. Victor, thank you. But I wasn't sure what I was thanking her for. In that moment, I wasn't sure I even knew what I was getting myself into. We left the house in silence, both of us lost in our thoughts. The drive to the address felt longer than it actually was. The closer we got, the more my mind raced with questions. Who was this guy? What did he want with Amelia? And why was she so afraid? When we arrived, the area was darker than I expected. The streets were eerily empty, the buildings around us crumbling with age. It looked like a place that had been forgotten by everyone, including time itself. Amelia was silent, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I could see the anxiety written all over her face. Are you sure this is the right place? I asked, my voice tight. Amelia nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't say anything else. I looked around, scanning the area for any signs of movement. But everything was still. Too still. My instincts were screaming at me to turn around and drive away, but Amelia was already getting out of the car. I followed her, my steps heavy on the cracked pavement. She led me down a narrow alleyway, the dim light from a single street lamp casting long shadows on the walls. The air was thick, like it hadn't been disturbed in years. I could hear my heart pounding in my chest, but I kept walking, my eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. Amelia stopped in front of an old warehouse. The door was slightly ajar, a thin sliver of light escaping from the crack. This is it, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I glanced at her, my throat tight. Are you sure? She didn't answer. Instead, she took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The room inside was dark, save for a few flickering lights overhead. The smell of dust and decay filled the air, and the silence was oppressive. We stepped inside, the door creaking loudly behind us. And then I heard it. A voice. Amelia. It was low, gravelly. The voice of someone who wasn't here to make friends. Amelia. The voice cut through the silence like a blade. I froze, every muscle in my body locking in place. The air in the warehouse felt thick, suffocating. I couldn't see him yet, but I could feel his presence. It was like a shadow looming over us, dark and heavy. Amelia's face paled. She didn't move, didn't speak. Just stood there, her back slightly turned toward me. I could see her hands trembling at her sides, her fingers white from gripping her phone so tightly. I couldn't stand it anymore. Who are you? I called out, my voice coming out harsher than I meant. The voice chuckled from the darkness. You're braver than I thought, Victor. I stepped forward, feeling Amelia flinch beside me. What do you want with her? I demanded, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. From the darkness, a figure emerged. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a hooded jacket. His face was partially obscured, but I could see the cruel smirk playing at the corner of his lips. He stepped closer, his boots making a faint echo in the empty space. It's not about what I want with her, he said, his voice smooth, almost too calm. It's about what she's going to do for me. I felt the air grow colder as I realized just how much danger we were in. Amelia, I whispered, turning to her. What is he talking about? Her eyes met mine briefly, filled with fear, but she said nothing. She couldn't. I could tell she was trapped in some kind of silent agreement with this man. The stranger took another step closer, the shadows swallowing his form until only his face was visible. She doesn't have a choice, Victor. Not anymore. She made a deal, and now she's stuck with it. I took a step forward, heart racing. What deal? What did you do, Amelia? She finally spoke, but her voice was shaky. I didn't have a choice. He said he'd hurt you if I didn't do what he wanted. And I didn't know what else to do. The man grinned, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. See, I told you she'd tell you eventually. Stop, I said, my voice trembling with anger. What does she have to do? What do you want? The man's smile widened, but there was no humor in it. You'll find out soon enough, Victor. I've got plans for both of you. I took a step toward him, my heart pounding in my ears. You're not getting away with this. I won't let you hurt her or anyone. His laughter echoed through the warehouse, dark and menacing. You really think you have a say in this? You're already too late. Before I could respond, a loud bang echoed from behind me. I spun around, my pulse quickening. The door I thought we'd entered through slammed shut with a force that rattled the entire building. I tried to move toward it, but the man blocked my path. You're not leaving, he said, his tone now cold, calculating. None of you are. I felt the ground beneath me shift as the walls seemed to close in. Something was about to happen, and I didn't know if we could escape in time. The door slammed shut behind us, and I felt the weight of the situation hit me like a wave. The man's laughter echoed around the warehouse, bouncing off the concrete walls, and I could feel the tension building in the air. My heart raced, and my mind scrambled for a plan, but nothing made sense. Everything felt wrong, like we were already trapped in something much bigger than I could understand. Amelia was still frozen beside me, her face pale, her hands trembling. The fear in her eyes cut through me. She wasn't just scared, she was terrified. And that terrified me more than anything. What had she gotten us into? The man, he wasn't even trying to hide the thrill in his eyes. He knew we were trapped. I could see the satisfaction in his expression. You think you can just walk in here and walk out like nothing happened? He said, his voice a cold, low drawl. You've already crossed a line. Now, there's no turning back. I looked at Amelia. What does he want from us? I whispered, but she didn't answer. Her lips were pressed into a tight line, as if any word might make it worse. She was already deep in this mess, and I was too late to stop it. I tried to think, tried to push the panic out of my mind. We had to do something. I wasn't going to let him take control of us. The man stepped closer, his boots echoing louder with each step. You two have no idea what you're dealing with, he said, almost mockingly. But you're about to learn. You see, this whole thing, this game I'm playing, it's not about the dare. It's about power, control, and now, you're both part of it. I took a deep breath, forcing my feet to move. I wasn't going to let him talk down to me. What do you want, then? I asked, my voice shaking but trying to stay firm. He paused for a moment, as if considering whether to answer. I want you to make a choice, Victor. Amelia, too. You see, this is all about decisions. Some of them are easy. Some of them aren't. He smiled, but there was nothing friendly about it. I'll give you a choice. You both walk out of here alive, but not unscathed. Or you both stay, and I'll make sure you regret it. Forever. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a man with a grudge or a simple threat. This was something much darker. What the hell are you talking about? I spat, taking a step forward, but Amelia grabbed my arm, her grip tight. Victor, please, she whispered, her voice shaking. Don't make it worse. Just listen to him. Please. I looked at her, confused, desperate. Amelia, what is he talking about? What do you mean, make a choice? We can't just stand here and... The man interrupted, his eyes gleaming with amusement. Oh, she knows exactly what I mean. Don't you, Amelia? His words cut through the air like a blade. I turned to her, my heart pounding. Amelia's face was a mix of fear and regret. She wasn't looking at me now. She was looking down, her face buried in her hands. I didn't want this to happen, Victor, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I didn't have a choice. He has control over everything. Control over what? I demanded, Stepping forward again, my fists clenched. You're telling me you've been under his thumb this whole time? You've been hiding this from me? Amelia didn't respond. The man, however, seemed to enjoy the chaos he was causing. You think you're the hero, don't you? He said to me, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You think you can just waltz in and save her? It's too late for that. Amelia's already made her decision. And now, you will too. Suddenly, the lights above us flickered, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Everything felt wrong, like we were sinking deeper into something we couldn't escape. What's happening? I asked, my voice almost a whisper, the fear creeping in. Time's up, the man said with a grin. You'll both soon see that the price for freedom isn't something you can just walk away from. And then, the ground beneath us shook. The ground shook again, this time harder, and I stumbled, grabbing onto Amelia to steady myself. The man, still standing with his cruel grin, seemed unaffected by the tremors around us. His amusement only grew, as if everything was unfolding exactly the way he had planned. What's happening? I demanded, my voice edged with panic. He chuckled, the sound cold and chilling. You think this is a game, don't you? But this is no game. This is real. And now you've both reached the point of no return. I turned to Amelia, her face pale, her eyes filled with regret. She looked up at me for the first time since we entered the warehouse, her eyes pleading. I could see it now, the desperation in her eyes. This wasn't just about me saving her. She had been trapped for far too long, and now, we both were. Victor, I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know who else to turn to. I never wanted this for you. I took her hands in mine, squeezing them tightly. We're going to get through this. Together. No matter what happens, we'll face it together. The man laughed again, but this time it lacked the power it once had. You think you have a choice? You don't. You're both in too deep now. I glanced around, my mind racing. This man, this whole situation, it was about fear, about manipulation. And it dawned on me that the only way out of this wasn't to play into his game. It was to break free from it. We do have a choice, I said, my voice firmer now. You can't control us. You can't control Amelia, and you sure as hell can't control me. The man's grin faltered for just a moment. You think you're in control? You're not. You're nothing but pawns in a game you don't understand. Amelia stepped closer to me, her hand still in mine. Victor's right, she said, her voice gaining strength. You've been playing with us, trying to tear us apart. But we won't let you. For the first time, the man's expression shifted. He didn't look amused anymore. His eyes narrowed, and I could see the fear flicker there, hidden beneath the anger. The game was no longer in his hands. You think you've won? He spat, his voice thick with frustration. But there was something different in his tone. It wasn't as certain as before. You don't know who I am. We don't need to know who you are, I said. We just need to know that we're stronger than your threats. And we're walking out of here. Together. I pulled Amelia toward me, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt her hand grip mine with more certainty. The warehouse around us seemed to hold its breath, the darkness feeling less oppressive. The man stepped back, his shoulders slumping slightly as he realized the power he once had over us was gone. I could feel it in the air, the shift was palpable. Amelia and I weren't just escaping. We were taking back control. Without another word, we turned and walked toward the door. The warehouse seemed to open up before us, the path ahead clearer than it had been moments ago. As we stepped into the cold night air, the weight of the situation lifted. Amelia looked up at me, her eyes filled with gratitude and relief. Thank you, she whispered, her voice trembling but stronger now. You saved me. You saved us. I smiled at her, pulling her close. We saved each other. As we walked away from the warehouse, the world outside felt like it was waiting for us. We had faced the darkness, the fear, and the unknown, and we had come out stronger. The man, the threats, everything, none of it mattered anymore. We were free, and that was all that mattered.